Look at that, empty space where the diesel SD1 was. It's a couple of days later. This bonnet is about to fall off. I still need to do some tinkering with this thing, get it running a bit better. So in order to do that, I have got to pull the carburetors off, strip them down. I'm not going to rebuild them at this stage. There's a video about me rebuilding SU carburetors already on YouTube. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, then you can click back through. I don't think I made it as a playlist. I think if you just click my older videos, and you're going to have to annoyingly scroll all the way through until you get there, but there are some about SU carbs. Once it's up and running, I'm going to drop the oil and put a whole load of new fresh oil in. I have, in readiness for that, bought myself a new oil filter, and I've bought 5 litres of 20W50, which sounds stupid, putting that oil, like not that particular grade, but just putting brand new engine oil in an old engine. But you know, it probably hasn't had oil in a very long time, and it'll just help clean it out a bit. So I'm gonna go grab some tools, put some gloves on. I did WD-40 all of these linkages previously, so I'm hopeful that these will pop off without the plastic cracking. The little link rods. It's quite obviously not a Spitfire. Come on, camera. Sometimes there's a guy who does stunts above us, which is quite cool. So I heard the revs going up and instinctively looked up, but was disappointed. Anyway, again, I'm chatting for no reason whatsoever. Gonna go and get a hoover and a brush, clean all that off, pull the carbs off, lay them out on the floor, and then we will start the poking. Some of these nuts that hold the carb bodies to the top of the inlet manifold, they're a bit crowded up, so I've got my wire wheel, give them a bit of a tickle. Whoops, that wasn't a good idea. There's a couple right underneath that are an absolute pain in the bottom, because access is very difficult. So they're on spring washers, so once they're backed off and the pressure's off, you can unwind them by hand, but you can see how you can't get the nut past the end of the stud on some of them, so you have to release them all at the same time, pull the carb up and wind them off, which is a little bit annoying, but meh, got to be done. Well, you saw what a faff that was. Just access is awkward. Looks clean as a whistle in there, which is good news. That was just in time because it just started raining. Quite ironic that I have a nice garage now with electricity and yet I'm still outside. But that's one of the reasons it's going to be good having this car running. Crumbs, I really did time that well. It's absolutely hooning it down. Oh, hail. Lucky me, eh? No word of a lie, it's just gone silly. Just been dumping it down with hail for no apparent reason. Look at that! Snow. Very windy as well. Right, I'm going to go in here, strip carbs, and well, I'm expecting to find that where the fuel has evaporated off, this on the underside with the float will probably be all gummed up. So I'll get a screwdriver, pull the dash pots off. They're probably pretty gummed up as well. And we'll just shoot a whole load of brake and clutch parts cleaner, pull the float out, check that it's not cracked, see if the little bimetallic strip thing is working, and then just give it all a bit of a clean up. I'm not going to adjust any of the choke levers, not going to adjust anything, and I don't intend even undoing any of it. Literally just going to pull the bottom cover and the top cover off and give it a bit of a tickle. I'm feeling super smug. How good is that? Dry, electricity, radio, football. So this is the first of the two carburetors. I'm doing them independently because I don't want to mix parts over. It's A, because they will have been adjusted with the parts that are in them, and B, things like you don't want to mix your dash pot with your suction chamber because that will have been machined. I don't know whether they're machined to match or whether they're just selected in the factory, but basically they would do a drop test where they hold the dash pot and then the suction chamber bit drops, and you want the both carbs to be reacting in the same way, so you don't want to mix the bits up in case one binds up or one falls out and the other one chatters its way down. Anyway, what you can see here, see that? That is fuel goop, like poopy petrol biscuit. So that is not going to be helping things. I was interested to see that there was fuel in this. There just didn't appear to be a huge amount. This thing here is another little bimetallic strip thing that with temperature changes and moves up and down, so it looks kind of crappy, but that's just because there would have been moisture in the water and the fuel, which has caused it to surface rust, but it probably still works fine. Long term, this will all get completely rebuilt, but for the minute, that's okay. And then if you look here, that is our needle. Good news is it's still wobbly on its little spring thing, but you can see all this white scale. That is all remnants of evaporated fuel, so all that needs to be cleaned off. So I've got my bucket, I've got my carb cleaner, I've got a tub of petrol over there, and a brass brush, a paintbrush, some very worn out old Scotch Brite. That one's newer, that's probably a bit too rough, and some 1200 grit. So I won't film it because it's really goddamn dull, but I'm just gonna sit here and clean these, and I will in fact put the football back on. Excuse the football nattering away in the background. This is why these carbs were pissing fuel out. That is the seal between the inspection cover on the underside and the float chamber, and it has basically turned to biscuit. It's rough and not anymore, you know, it's not compliant like it should be, it's just fracturing. So that's for the bin. I'm not sure if I've got any spares. I'll have a look in my box of bits and pieces. I think I might do. This is all more fuel and rust sediment, so that's all what we need to remove. Been cleaning up for a while now, and not a lot really surprising. That was very gummed up, it was stuck in there. It should be able to go up and down very slightly, and it clearly wasn't doing that. This is the little valve on the end of the float, which, oops, sits in there. Come on. There we go. That closes off fuel once the float is at the right height. That sounds like the Spitfire. It's cool having that randomly just flying around. Where was I? Oh yeah, from memory, and it's been a while since I pulled one of these apart, there should be a little spring or a little clip thing on the top of that which wraps around and hangs off that bar, and you set the height by bending that bit of brass up or down. So I don't know whether that has corroded and fallen off, or whether it never had it. Maybe it's, sorry, there we go, maybe it never had it. So I'll wait until put the other carburetor, or take the other one apart and see whether that one has it or not. It may be that just this early type of carburetor doesn't have it, but I swear my other V8-S has that. But anyway, more cleany, everything else cleaned up perfectly. I didn't bother taking the needle out, or the jet, whatever you want to call it, needle. That cleaned up very nicely. That's the little spring clip for the end of the dash pot rod to hold that in there. So I'll start putting this one back together again. I had deliberately wiggled things apart so I didn't have to undo the mixture screw there. That might have all looked very funny because I had it on 3x zoom, but never mind. Just opened up carburetor number 2. This one is real crappy. Lots and lots of muck in that one. My query about the needle, or that valve, it doesn't have a hook on it, so it's just this earlier carburetor doesn't have them. So mystery solved, but we'll carry on stripping and cleaning. I am nearly out of brake, or carburetor cleaner, so I'll have to go up the shops and get some a little bit later on, so I may not be able to do this all today. And I also need to get one. Oh, some of these are really sort of crudded up, but they are undoing, which is good. It's also nice that all of the 3 little set screws which hold the dash pot to the body, they all came undone, and all of the threads are okay. So many of these Rover V8s have been fiddled about with, and the carbs have been taken apart and put back together again. These castings are really kind of soft, and you don't need a lot of force to snap or rip out the threads from here, so it's nice that this one isn't damaged in that way. There's the little float, you can go over there. That's the little valve thing, excuse my crap terminology. Some of these have little nylon or rubber seats, but these ones don't. From memory again, I think the rebuild kit I got from SU Berlin, they were slightly different. That one moves more freely. That one's a lot less crapped up, which is good. So clean out all of this. That is horrible stuff. Can you imagine that going through your carburetor? Not nice. Like a muppet. Totally forgot I had these. These are the carbs off my V8-S. I say this green one out here is mine as well, but my original gold one. And there's some gaskets there, but unfortunately there's no rubbery seals. Also, this is my box of bits and pieces. That is what I was trying to explain. See that little one? It has like a neoprene or nitrile, maybe, something fuel safe, little rubber tip to the valve, and then it has a little hook on it. So that goes over the float, so it goes up and down with that bit. So quite why they're different, I don't know. Certainly I don't think those have ever been apart. Anyway, I'm going to pull the bottom covers of these off just to nick the rubber seals. Hopefully they're good. I don't remember these leaking. And if you do need bits for yours, that's where you get them. SU Berlin. Probably boring you to death now with carburetors, but that one is an original V8-S one, not taken apart, and it doesn't have the hooky bit on it. So maybe that's just how all V8-Ss are, and These are from the HIFEs, like the electric ones, 44E, that are on my police car. So maybe it was just the later ones have that kind of design. Good news is that the rubber things in these look good, so I can clean them off. I'll give them a little wipe of Vaseline, petroleum jelly, and wash them in my green car carburetors, and we should be good to put them back on the car. I am going to have to stop probably about now. In fact, I will have to stop now, but at least I know I've got the bits. I've got to go and do something else, so hopefully I'll get these on tonight or next week sometime, which will be annoying for me, but will be only moments for you. And look, it's sunny again. I'm back from my errands. I've picked up another can of I just hit myself in the balls. Why would I do that? That wasn't a nervous tick or, you know, Tourette's tick or anarchist hand syndrome. I was trying to catch it and I walloped myself right in the nuts with it. But anyway, less about my genitalia, more about these. I'm not going to fill that much more. Just going to clean them up a bit more, swap these seals over, put a bit of Vaseline on them, put them back on the car, turn the key, and hope that it starts up and runs like a champ. Carburetors are back together. I do have a packet of new gaskets and things, but I'm not going to use them because this is not final build or anything. This is literally just me trying to get the thing running better. I've just covered off the intakes, then buzzed the threads for the nuts so it makes them easier to go on and off. I've just tickled a bit around here with the wire brush as well. The cam covers are bolted on. I'm just going to hoover up in there with George Hoover, clean a bit of that crud out of the way so that I'm not always at risk of, I don't know, dropping stuff or things just being messier than they need to be. Doesn't that look better? Little things. In other good news, and there is quite a lot of good news with this car the more I look at it, that is the tin original Valley gasket. So I don't think that's ever been off. And when these Rover V8s get a bit tired and they start breathing, and by breathing I mean the combustion gases go past the rings and go into the crankcase, it pressurizes the whole of the Valley, pressurizes the whole engine, and that gets inverted and puffed up. So from the lack of any crud in the breather system, the lack of crud on the underside of the cam covers, valve gear looks clear, inlet looks nice, and that cover hasn't been inverted, it all smacks of this being a really very healthy engine, which again ties in with this being 80,000 miles. I have got all the history, I just haven't been through it yet. I might do a bit on that at the very end of the video, but I'm going to put a bit of copper slip on these threads, put the carbs on, go get a battery and wang it over again. Carbs are back on, everything's connected. I don't usually have hissy fits. I'm usually pretty controlled, but I was about to launch something across the garden with that pissing clutch cable. Choke cable, not clutch cable. Basically, the very tip of it, the strands had started to come undone, so it would not thread through the thing. So I thought, oh well, I'll just accept one loose strand, and I unwound that to get it through. Then the next one went, and so yeah, very, very frustrating because I am losing the light now. But we are ready for another test fire. Need a battery, need my jerry can fuel supply, and we'll see what it does. In my haste to refit things, I managed to snap the fuel delivery pipe from left to right bank, which is not ideal, as I'm sure you can appreciate. Just letting that filter fill up a bit, and then we'll wang it over and see what happens. Right, I managed to pour quite a lot of petrol all over that side of the engine bay, so I've just hit it with a watering can, and hopefully that will appease the fire gods so that they don't come out and visit me. Battery is on. I cannot quite tell whether that's getting fuel or not. I really need to fix the fuel pump, investigate why it doesn't want to work. Put the choke on. Choke cable actually stayed on. Get some accelerator, take it out of gear, and see what happens. Not a lot. Come on, little car. thinks that battery does not sound particularly healthy, and I don't think we're getting any fuel, so I don't think this is going to go. It's a very disappointing way to finish the video because I feel like I've done quite a lot. Well, there you go. Right, what used to happen is if I put my foot on the throttle, it would die completely. Much like that. So it would appear like we haven't really achieved very much at all. Let's just see if that again is too much choke. Oh, I think it's fuel. I think I need the fuel pump working, so it's pushing in under pressure. No, it just dies every time. Oh well, it was worth a go, wasn't it? Certainly the carbs needed cleaning. Oh, rev counter works now. Maybe it's just because it's so goddamn cold. I could listen to this all day. Yeah, I think it's fuel. It's just not happy, is it? Oh well. Next time you'll see me probably pulling the fuel pump apart. Won't that be fun? Bye.